Hello, I'm JunkYard Rat. I want to do a shout out to my theme song to Larry David, who got a blowjob from Barbara Walters. Really exciting. Really excited. So today's guest, it's April 1st. I got Don Lemon on. How you doing, Don?
Fine. It's good to be here.
You look a little different. Are you sure you're Don Lemon? You look like
Have
Charlie.
you ever seen Don Lemon before? Now you have.
Not really. I mean, I book people without seeing what they look like because I'm not prejudiced.
Well, I had trouble getting here from Vegas.
Oh yeah. Did you finally hop on your plane?
Well, the TSA had me stopped. They did a strip search, and I just boarded the plane naked, flew here naked, and went to my friend Enoch's house and borrowed some clothes from him. So maybe that's why you don't recognize me.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I mean, the Vegas TSA is crazy, you know. When I went through the TSA in Oakland, they somehow there's like metal near my crotch area, and they always want to like touch my crotch area. Every time I've flown out of Oakland.
Are you wearing a cock ring or something like that?
No,
I think several of them.
I think my sweatpants have like metal things where the strings go through.
Well, some guys have those metal things they stick up to the urethra. I mean,
and they always
have problems. That might be a medical device.
They asked me like, would you like to go to a secret room to be searched? And I'm like, nah.
That's what they wanted to do to me, and that's when I bolted and just jumped on the plane.
No, I told them, search me here, like, check out my crotch area in here. I flew with my mom last year, and they don't even search you if you're under, like, 75. They're like, just walk through.
I was lucky. I was able to get an Uber driver here that was clothing optional nudist. So he picked me up at the airport just fine. In fact, he took his clothes off and drove me to my friend's house.
Those Uber drivers are pretty good. I had an Uber driver the other day talk me out of giving him weed. As soon as I walked in, he's like, you smell like weed. I'm like, yeah, I do.
I don't think they're allowed to smoke weed on the job.
They're not allowed to, but I gave him some weed. I said, I'm cool with that. And then he thanked me, he sent me a message, which was kind of weird. I'm like, dude, you got to keep that shit on the down low. Don't be sending messages thanking me for that, you know, like. But so how you doing? How is it? You like the Bay Area? You like San Francisco?
It's different. I'm in the desert, you know, there's a lot of sand around there.
Oh, yeah?
So I guess you want sand here, you got to go to the beach.
Yeah, you know, I live in Walnut Creek, and there's like a seafood store that just opened up, and they had a sign saying local crab.
How did the name Walnut Creek come about? Is it a creek with actual walnuts in it, or surrounded by walnut trees or something, perhaps?
I think the way it came about is that I think there were a lot of walnuts back in those days. That whole area was like farmland. That whole East Bay Area. But I'm thinking local crab in Walnut Creek. There's no ocean in Walnut Creek. And there's like a yacht club too. There's a Walnut Creek yacht club. But there's like no ocean nearby. The closest ocean has got to be like Oakland or, you know, or you got to go up to Pittsburgh.
Well, if you have your boat there, it probably lasts a lot longer, being that it doesn't have to be in the water.
Yeah. That is crazy. A yacht club. There's no water. There's a yacht, and they actually have a restaurant in the yacht club. You can be a member of the yacht club, but they don't. Where are you supposed to put your yachts and stuff? You know.
Well, in Vegas, they have Lake Mead, which is not too far away.
No, they got Lake Vegas. They made up a lake called. The really rich people live in a place called Lake Vegas or something. You know, you can go out there and party. They actually buy water from Lake Mead. Did you know that in LA, the reason why we don't have water in the Bay Area is because we sell it to LA. We sell our water.
I heard they actually stole it. I mean, they've got a history going back to the turn of the century. Have you ever seen the movie Chinatown?
Oh yeah, Chinatown.
Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson. That explains
Yeah.
all about. The character in there is based upon the life of Mulholland, who was kind of out in towards Vegas area, the ranch areas.
Yeah.
Imperial Valley used to be a very lush ranch and farmland, and now it's all desert again. And now the desert where Vegas is all city, and swimming pools, and God, we have hotels and casinos that shoot water up in the air, and like there's no tomorrow to it. Lake Mead, turned into a little stream at one point.
Yeah, because they ran out of water. I know the Mirage. I think the Mirage recycles water, but they must buy it because, yeah, the Mirage is like a waste. One thing I don't like about Vegas, I really don't. There's like no benches outside. They don't want you sitting outside.
No, if you get outside, you get heat stroke. So they're just trying to protect the health of the public. So it's a public interest thing.
Is it really about heat stroke, or they just want you inside
They
the
want
casino?
you to go inside the nice air-conditioned casino, and it's a healthy experience instead of being outside at 140-degree temperature.
Well, it's not always. It's only in the 100 degrees, like maybe 4 months out of the year.
Well, with global climate change, it's going to be 6 or 7 months out of the year.
Oh, yeah.
The colder months, it'll be down to 110.
Where I live in a senior community, and it's always too cold or too hot. It's never the right temperature. It's always cold. It's always hot.
Is it the Goldilocks community or something?
It's the Rossmore. I live in Rossmore and stuff.
It sounds a lot like the story of Goldilocks. Do you want to hear it?
It should be. It should be.
It's about 3 bears and porridge.
Nah, there's bears where I live, though. They got wild turkeys and bears.
Do they eat people out there?
The turkeys don't, but I heard the turkeys sleep inside the tree. They can fly and they sleep in the trees because the coyotes try and get them. But I'm thinking, why can't we just shoot the turkeys, It's Thanksgiving. Why are we protecting turkeys? What kind of a country are we that we protect turkeys?
No, I think it's legal to hunt them, but just
It's not
in a
legal.
gated community. If they get outside your community into the ungated neighborhoods, perhaps there you can shoot them.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. There's like 10,000 people where I live. There's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people that could be hunting turkeys.
I know. Nobody like hunts anything out there. They're weird people, my neighbors. They're nice people. They're really nice people, but yeah, there's a lot of people. It's weird.
Do they like CNN or Fox?
They're mostly CNN people. This Democrat in the state of California is sitting inside where I live. There's like over 1,000 members and stuff. But I think 90% of them are former Reagan Republicans.
Oh, okay.
Because you gotta have money to live in this place, You just can't. You just can't come in and buy property. They check you. I think you got whatever you buy. Like that, we got a condo there, but I think half of it has to be in cash. So, and you got to show proof you can afford it. So yeah, it's not the easiest place to move into. And in fact, they wouldn't let you. For a while, they wouldn't let anybody rent. You couldn't rent out your place. Because of COVID, the city made them change that law. So now you can rent it. You can rent out your place. But before you couldn't rent for more than 5 months at a time. And the worst part about it, they don't let the employees use the facilities, which is really upsetting to me. I take the buses there, and some of the bus drivers had like knee operations.
I mean, is this bus inside the community itself? I mean, it's that
Yeah.
big?
Yeah, they got little buses. They got little buses that
Are they
take.
like golf carts with extensions on them? Or, like we have stretch limos all over Vegas. So
No.
stretch golf carts?
No, these are like buses. They're little white buses, right? And
They have horns on them and
they got horns on them.
roofs. They have a roof on them.
Yeah, they got but some of the bus drivers had like hip replacements, knee replacements, and I'm thinking they should let these people at least use the gym.
Can you get a wheelchair on these little buses?
They got their own wheelchair systems, but yeah, I mean, you're understanding it. They got room for all kinds of people. They got 2 golf courses, 5 pools. They got a movie theater. They got the biggest Democratic club, but they're not very good at predicting. They're not very good at predicting who's going to win. They put their support on Kim Porter for Senate,
Yeah.
and
Have you ever seen Donald Trump playing at either of these golf courses? I hear he quite a bit.
no. But Gavin Newsom shows up once a year, asking for money.
How do you know if in a gated community with COVID, doesn't everyone still have to wear a mask? I mean, even in your own apartment or condo?
Well, some people did, they used to, but at first when COVID happened, I got the vaccines because I was afraid I was going to kill a bunch of these people. I was afraid I was going to get COVID.
Yeah.
But now I don't bother with the vaccines anymore.
These anti-vax people, they're kind of like the Flat Earth Society.
They
I
are.
heard the Flat Earth Society. I talked to someone there, and I said, are you guys, there's not that many of you, are you? And the guy told me, he goes, no, we've got membership all over the globe.
Yeah.
And I caught him there on that.
I wouldn't be surprised if the world is flat, But I haven't been on any space shuttles. I don't know what the Earth looks like. It could be flat, I'm not sure. But I have been to 3 continents. I have flown to 3 continents, but I could have just flown, from one end to the other.
Well, to a geologist purist, if you've been on one continent, you've been on all of them. Because you've heard of Pangea, haven't you?
Yeah,
they were all one big continent. I think the world was probably a better place back then.
They used to be connected, You could run away from people easier back in those days.
I mean, you didn't need airplanes, ships. You could just drive to any place you wanted to.
Yeah.
Couldn't you?
I mean, my ancestors came here on a ship. They came to Chile on a ship. They didn't come to America. We came on Pan Am. Pan Am brought us here, Pan Am brought us here. In fact, people don't really ask me how I ended up in America. Nobody really asked me that question.
Did you willingly come here, or did you stow away on Pan Am?
I came here when I first came to America. I was 2 months old. My dad was at the University of Texas.
So you didn't have a say in the matter then?
I could have been born in Texas. Actually, when I was born, my dad was in Texas, so I was this close to being a redneck. I was this close to being a redneck. But I showed up at 2 months old. Then we went to Stanford. My dad went to Stanford. Then we went to Brazil for a year. But one of my brother's friends got sick and died, I guess.
Well, 2 months is pretty young.
Yeah. So then we went to Venezuela. My dad worked in the oil business in Venezuela.
And that's why he went to Texas, because they're both oil oriented.
Yeah, so one day he was in the oil fields, and he kept hearing a rumor about some computers being built.
It must have been a change for him, because Chile is kind of like a long, narrow thing.
Yeah.
And Texas is kind of wide and big, and everything's huge.
My dad had a good time. He was actually in a program with a bunch of Latinx.
Alcohol recovery program.
No, he was in a Latinx. They brought in a bunch of Latinx professors, engineering professors to Texas. They taught him English. Then they spread him around the country. Got him in masters and PhD programs. My dad got into Stanford. So basically, this program was planning on a Latino computer takeover. And my dad was sitting in the oil fields in Venezuela, and he kept hearing rumors about computers being built in the Bay Area. So he said, you know what? I got to get in that racket. So he hopped on.
So he went from oil into silicon.
Well, yeah, my dad was he was in charge of the electricity in this whole town. So anytime the electricity went out, my dad had to go in and
So he was an electrical engineer then.
He was an electrical
power distribution and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because before computers, I mean, that's what you did.
You just need a big Ace Hardware for that.
Yeah.
You hire an electrician. Most of them know what they're doing.
So yeah, my dad came here and we decided to hop on the Silicon Valley bandwagon, And my dad, he got us all green cards, and surprisingly, they didn't do a background check on me because I was already a terrible kid. According to my mom, I was terrible.
Well, they didn't have terrorist watch lists.
They didn't have terrorist watch lists, And people don't realize. I haven't been back to Venezuela, but I always wanted to go back and help liberate it, especially now. I feel bad what happened to Venezuela. I want to go help out those people,
I've only met Venezuelan women, and they're very beautiful. I know nothing about any other Venezuelans except that there's a lot of beautiful women there.
I mean, you could say
everything else has got, the people who write the news for me. I learn about it from them, and I heard that they had a very bad dictator.
Oh yeah, he was
really close to Cuba and Russia. You learn a lot when you do the news.
Yeah. The weird thing is, who's dictator in Cuba right now? I don't even know the guy's name.
Well, it's Fidel's brother, Raul.
No, he's not in charge anymore.
Oh, he's not? Oh, okay. Maybe they had an election, like Putin had an election in Russia. And I hear it was not even close.
I don't know. I prefer Putin over Trump. I mean, I'd rather have Putin elected president in America than Trump.
I don't know. Trump really thinks he's got a chance there. I'm kind of wondering, the other guy, the independent guy, Robert Kennedy, already selected.
Oh, yeah, Kennedy.
I'm trying to think, Donald Trump, who would be a suitable running mate for him? I was thinking somebody with a lot of experience as a parole officer would probably be a good running mate for him.
I was going to go to that. He did that. Robert Kennedy he had something in Oakland last Tuesday where he
talks funny, though. I think when he gets into the debates, 5 minutes into every debate, people are going to listen to Robert Kennedy. And they're going to, like me, they're going to get nauseated, and they're not going to vote for him.
I think Robert Kennedy might have a chance to win the election because his vice president is really good looking.
Well, I don't know. He used to be on, there was that liberal radio station, Air
America.
Yeah. He was he had a show with one of the affiliates there, and I could only stand 2 minutes after that. I was in the toilet vomiting. See, he just didn't sound like a Kennedy. All the other Kennedys sounded presidential, even Ted.
Yeah.
Ted, even though he had an unfortunate habit of running Oldsmobiles off of Harvard.
Robert
Road.
Kennedy's got a disease. That's why he sounds bad.
I think that people are going to hold that against him.
And I gotta admit to you, I used to make fun of him for sounding bad.
I still try to make fun of him.
But I think Robert Kennedy, I hope he doesn't win because I feel he
won't win. He's a third-party candidate.
But I think
they never win. But what they do, like with George Bush,
but I'm afraid.
They ruin it for the we had George Bush because of Nader. The guy who destroyed the Corvair, which was a great car.
Yeah.
Even Ferdinand Porsche was afraid of the Corvair. He bought one.
But the same thing happened to Clinton. I mean, Clinton probably would have never won if what's his name, Ross Perot wasn't running. Ross Perot took votes away from Bush.
Oh, you're talking about Bush the first.
Bush the first, yeah. How you think the
I don't know.
people?
Clinton won by a law. He had a pretty good. That was the last real landslide he had.
So I think what could happen if Robert Kennedy gets elected president, I'm afraid for him because his running mate is too good looking. Some dude is gonna take him out to make sure that woman becomes president. And I don't even think, can she be president? She's like 33. I thought you had to be like 35.
I think they make an exception for good-looking women.
I guess she was married to the founder of Google. So now, not only
Serge Brin or
she was married to Serge Brin. And not only is she hella hot, but she's like billionaire hot, which no wonder she's like the fucking running mate, dude. Because I mean, you need somebody to fund your campaign.
I don't know. I tell everybody I know that is a third-party person. If they're libertarians or Greens, you basically are throwing your vote away. And elections nowadays, it's a chess game. Most of the country does not even matter. It's always. And probably Bush's campaign guy, Karl Rove, was like the first person to do this swing state things. He focused on you. He goes, don't worry about the rest of the country. You just need to focus on the 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever states. If they go one way or another, that's going to tip the election. And that's what happens is a third-party candidate in one of those states, like Gore v. Bush, the first court thing they had. That was like a difference of 500 votes. And the ballot had those hanging chads, and had Pat Buchanan's name right opposite Al Gore, and people thought they were voting for Al Gore, and it was like they were actually voting for Pat Buchanan. I mean, anybody in their right mind knows that Pat Buchanan should probably have gotten 0 votes.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in my game, he was in the news thing, and they had him on there just to be a counterpoint, a foil. You needed a conservative guy to make fun of. And it was easy to make fun of Pat Buchanan.
The truth is, I was kind of happy when Al Gore lost. I don't like the Gores. They're behind all the record censorships,
Well, his wife was.
Yeah, his wife.
You can't judge a man by his wife.
You can.
The whole they called them the Hollywood housewives, and that's why I borrowed Enoch's favorite shirt here today, the barking pumpkin with the cat protesting in Chinese.
You got cats, don't you?
Most people don't know what it means, but the barking pumpkin was Frank Zappa's record company, Barking Pumpkin Records. And Frank, God bless his soul. I mean, he left us at like 52.
Yeah.
Died. And he was very big on cable news back in the 80s. And he single-handedly shut down Tipper Gore and all these Washington housewives that were, they had nothing to do, so they said, let's go after this stuff called rap music. They'd never heard it before, and it had all these words in there, fuck and motherfucker and whore and shit, and they couldn't allow that on records. You couldn't say it on radio. But, to have it on vinyl, and then they brought out this thing called the CD.
Yeah.
They didn't want kids to have this stuff.
Well, they went after Two Live Crew. They went after Two Live Crew. Two Live Crew is like a comedy rapper, They were dirty, but they were kind of like comedy dirty.
Weren't they like a couple of guys that were stealing a car and they ran into a record studio that was in progress, and somebody said, "You guys are good. You're yelling a bunch of nonsense. We don't know what you're saying."
No, that's not Two Live.
That's good.
That's not Two Live.
One of them got signed for that. P. Diddy.
That wasn't Two Live Crew. Two Live Crew, they're hella dirty, but they're funny dirty.
What do you think of P. Diddy? Did he do it? Did he?
Of course he did it. I've been hearing about P. Diddy for years.
Diddy?
Of course,
The name's perfect. Diddy?
well, he used to be Puffy, Puff Daddy, Daddy Diddy.
He puffed his daddy?
That the first clue is if you keep changing your name, you got something to hide. You know, if you keep changing your name from Puffy,
I like reggae music. See, it's kind of happy and fun. So I don't listen to this other stuff. I really don't know much about it except what I hear amongst the news circles.
Remember
that these people?
Do you know Mace? Remember the rapper Mace?
Who?
Mace was a rapper that was on Bad Boy.
He didn't cross over to reggae?
No, he quit the music industry and nobody understood why. He became like a preacher in LA.
I like Willie Nelson.
And
I'd like to get him to do some reggae.
Nobody understood why he quit. There were all these rumors. It's like he quit because I guess Diddy kept having sex with him, you know.
No.
And I got nothing on gay. Gay sex is great. People should be able to have gay sex, but keep it out of the music and the entertainment industry, you know? If they just want to do a record, let them do a record. Why they gotta have gay sex with you, you know? I'm down with gay sex. You want to be gay?
Oh, I think they're having violent underage sex. That's the problem.
I'm just upset. I've been doing comedy for years. I never had a booker tell me that if I sucked their dick, they would book me. I never had anybody. I never been approached for any, and nobody's trying to book me for sexual favors, you know. Nobody said.
Well, you're getting into the casting couch issue.
You got.
I mean, that's what destroyed Harvey Weinstein.
You got nice boobs.
He got carried away with that.
Yeah, but I'm upset because nobody has tried to sleep with me for stage. They're like, I'll put you on stage, but just have sex with me. I've never been offered that, and I'm really upset. You know, why is it everybody's getting approached sexually to get booked and I'm not? You know, what is it about me?
Maybe you need a couture, somebody to change your outfit, you know.
Maybe I don't dress really well.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Clothes makes the man.
A friend of mine went to Golden Corral last night in Concord for Easter dinner, and she was telling me that some people were really dressed up in nice pink suits.
I never eat at those places. I mean, Vegas is filled with buffets.
Yeah.
People are sneezing on the food. They're touching it with their grubby hands.
It's true.
And when people aren't looking, they're spitting on it. And they're like taking things that, I mean, they'll take something from this food and it doesn't belong over here, but they like do that just to mess with people.
Yeah, you know the worst part about it? The employees watch you in case you're trying to steal food, you know, like, oh, I see
The employees are stealing food. They're not supposed to.
I know.
The very best piece of prime rib that's there, the one piece that's not a piece of horse leather, as soon as they put the secret in Vegas is you put that out on top and they take pictures, people see it. The thing is the employees always, you know, they get their lunch break and they go and they take that best piece of prime rib. Yeah. The rest of it's like round steak or Alpo, you know. Ugh.
I like ribs. Prime rib is okay, but yeah, I've never done the expensive buffets. I've never been to anything that costs over $60. I've never been to any really expensive buffets, but I bet you have. Tell me, I've never seen like crab legs.
Well, like I told you, I stay away from those places because is you don't know what's going on with the food, and even if it's good, you eat too much of it. So
I used to have a joke.
I like Jack in the Box. You know, the 2 tacos for 99 cents. You can't beat that.
You know they're vegan tacos. You know, there's no real meat in those.
No. It's got some real meat in there, and it's got real cheese. What's vegan is the lettuce, and the shell is corn tortilla.
It's got soy.
The vegan people can eat that and just ignore the fact they're eating meat and cheese.
There's no meat in it. It's soy. I'm telling you, there's soy. It's soy.
But the cheese is still got dairy.
I think the cheese might be dairy.
Yeah, so like I say, just don't tell the vegan.
It's not vegan, because the cheese,
Yeah, just, you have your vegan friend. Yeah. You want to take them out on a night on the town. You go to Jack in the Box. Those 2 for 99-cent tacos can't. And if you have the jumbo tacos, 2 for $3, that's even better because they add a little sour cream and some other stuff on it. I think.
I mean,
tomato.
You know, the funny thing is that I got like 30 cousins. I don't got any vegan cousins. Like the vegan industry hasn't moved on to South America.
Are any of your cousins vegan?
No, they're not vegan. I think
any of them cannibals?
I think one of them might be vegan, but she lived in America for a while, so we can blame America for that. You know. What about you? You got vegan cousins?
I don't think they'll admit to it. I mean, anytime we have a barbecue, it's kind of like I force steak on them just to kind of see.
Oh, yeah.
If they go for seconds on their own, then I know they're not. But, you know, if I see the plate and they've eaten all the potato salad and all the other stuff, but the meat's still there, I worry about them.
I worry about people, too. You know, I'm a worrier. I don't worry
about people. My immediate family, I do.
I worry about it. I was just reading that Kobe Bryant's dad.
I heard he died.
Kobe Bryant's dad sold his son's championship ring, his first one.
First son?
No, his son's first championship ring. Kobe's first championship ring. He gave it to his dad. His dad sold it to somebody years ago.
His son sold his dad?
No, his dad sold Kobe's championship
ring.
ring.
I'm in the news. I'm trying to make sure I got this straight. So accuracy is important in the news.
So Kobe's dad sold Kobe's first championship ring for like $150,000 to somebody years ago, and the ring just
150,000 years ago he sold his son's ring,
and now the ring got resold for $1 million. But it's like, how much of a loser are you that you're selling your son's championship ring? I mean, Kobe didn't give these people money at all. I mean, how broke you gotta be to decide I'm gonna be selling Kobe's championship ring?
We're talking about the guy that's on the Dodgers, right?
No, that's another Kobe. That's the
guy that's involved with the translator.
That's Otani. That's another. Kobe's not even Japanese.
Okay. Well, Kobe beef is very good.
Kobe beef, in fact, I think, I think he was named after the beef. Kobe beef. Yeah.
It's expensive.
It is expensive. Huh?
You know why it's so expensive is they have to hire these special guys to massage these cows with like sake. And that's that's very weird. I mean, we do that beef here in America. We call it Wagyu beef, and instead of sake, I think they use probably like bourbon or whatever.
Why am I doing this? Cows don't have dicks. That's bulls. The cows don't have the dicks. I'm like, do they jerk off the cow?
I don't know. I'm not.
But they don't got dicks. They got a finger.
I'm not into cattle fondling.
They got a finger. I'm down with cows because they got big ass boobs and shit.
Well, they have several teats.
And I'm a Taurus, so I'm down with banging cows. There's nothing wrong with it.
The closest experience I've had with that in humans with several teats was the movie Total Recall, the first one, which was good.
Oh yeah, she had like 3 boobs.
Yes, and I saw that, and I still haven't gotten over it. In fact, it was probably the reason why when I started watching the remake, and I forget who was it Bradley Cooper?
Yeah, it came out a couple of years ago.
And I only could watch the first 10 minutes of it because I said sooner or later they're going to get to that scene with the tri-tits, as I called it, and I did not want to see that again. Once in your lifetime is enough, so I walked out of the theater. And then I realized I wasn't in the theater. I was in my own house, and I was watching the DVD. So I went down the street and wondered, why did I leave the comfort of my own house here?
You had your pants off waiting for the 3 boobies.
No.
Where's the 3 boobies? Do you think those were real? Do you think that woman really had 3 boobies? Or?
Well, that would have taken a lot of auditioning.
I mean, I don't see why.
I'm sure that they're out there. There's probably some condition. I mean, if they have, you heard there's those conjoined twins. One of them,
Oh yeah,
got married or something. If
Yeah.
you could have a body and another whole body attached to you, I mean, depending if you're looking at the left side or the right side, how awkward would it be? I mean, technically she has 4 boobies.
yeah.
So why would it not be strange for someone to have been conjoined, but like instead of the other person didn't develop, and you had like only the boobie of that other person developed?
Yeah.
You think that's possible?
But they have a reality show, don't they? The conjoined twins, or
Well, they have reality shows for practically everything.
they have a reality show. I'm just like, why am I not watching this thing? Because I would totally like bang the 2-headed blonde or whatever.
You would want to see a reality show with conjoined.
I would
people?
bang them. I would bang those. I would bang the.
What
the
if
two-headed
the other
blonde.
conjoined person doesn't want to participate? Wouldn't you need consent from both parties?
That's why you put like a.
I mean, one party could enjoy it, and the other party could claim sexual harassment or rape.
You
I
just
mean,
put a bag
you
over.
want that kind of trouble?
You just put a bag over the head of the one you're not banging. You know?
Or you could give them Rohypnol,
Yeah, but I'm not sure you
knock
could.
them out.
I'm not sure you could do that to just one head and keep the other head. I mean, I'm not sure if you could drug just the head and the other one. I think if you give them one, I think they share bodies. So
Well, one thing for sure, I think this is probably the first time in human history that subject's been touched upon.
yeah. And are they gonna die at the same time? I mean, they share a body.
That's quite interesting. I mean,
They share a body.
I guess you could. I mean, cremation would be out of the question, but I mean, you could kind of attach a coffin
Yeah.
in some sort of apparatus. You go around the rest of your life with the coffin there. You know, your dearly departed, loved, twin brother or sister is always with you. Really, is always with you, and then when you both go, I guess maybe you get put in one big coffin.
I would chop my conjoined twins' head off.
You think so?
We gotta survive, right? I mean, you gotta survive. You can't, what if you got good cop, bad cop, I mean, they're not bad looking. That's what I'm thinking. Like,
Okay, instead of a coffin, what about a bag? Like a sleeping bag?
they should have like an OnlyFans account, like a webcam where we can watch them like having sex just for science, not for entertainment, but just for science, just to see what you do. I mean, you know
Now, if
what
your
I mean?
spouse was into necrophilia, that would be the perfect situation.
But if you knock one of them up, like,
The conversation has gotten a bit bizarre there, but
if you knock,
I bet it's a question nobody has ever pondered before.
if you knock her up, are you like knocking both of them
I
up?
don't know if somebody is already dead, could they still father a child?
I went to my high school. I went to high school. I knew these twins. They looked exactly
Were they
alike.
conjoined?
They weren't conjoined, but they looked exactly alike and stuff. They looked exactly. They should be conjoined because they looked exactly alike. But
That's what they call the fraternal twins, if they're identical, right?
I'm just wondering if you asked one of them out and she has the head. I mean,
I used to go out with a set of identical twins.
Oh,
They
yeah?
would take turns going out on dates with me, and I didn't know about that until like years later. One of them finally
Admit
let
it.
on. Because I could, they both had different things that they liked. One would like this kind of food, and the other one would hate it. And I never quite caught on to that, but it made a lot of sense. It gave me closure later on to
Yeah.
find out that there were 2 of them. And I
You
thought
didn't
I was
sleep with
going-
any of them,
I
did
thought I thought she was just a schizophrenic.
oh yeah.
I didn't realize that she had an identical twin like that.
Were they playing games?
That's what broke us up. I mean, You know, it's like last time you enjoyed this musical we went to. Now you're saying you hate this stuff. I can't take this anymore.
But were they playing? Were they like messing with you?
Yes, they were.
But they were doing it friendly.
So I ended up basically, I guess you could say we're in like a triad. I would have liked to have stayed together with her so that all three of us could have gotten
You could have gone to the prom with both of them. Like,
well, I'm not talking about the prom. I mean, we were beyond high school age.
Oh yeah, right? That is kind of so you couldn't tell.
This was pre-CNN days. I mean, I'm probably going to be in big trouble now with the network.
That is true.
Because, you know, what's going to happen is our competition's going to hear about that. Now they're going to look into my history. They're going to discover this, and like just like Hunter Biden, they're going to steal my laptop and put compromising pictures on it.
But nobody stole that laptop.
Pictures of me doing cocaine on women's bellies and, you know, all this stuff that really shouldn't have happened.
Nobody stole that laptop, though. He left it to... And why would you even leave a laptop to get fixed, you know?
Well, if it's broken, I think you would.
No, if you're rich, why not just buy another one?
Well, rich people don't...
To be honest...
They don't throw things away. They're smart with things like that. That's why they're rich.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I've never had an expensive laptop. This is not an ordinary laptop. It sounds like this was an expensive one. But I think what happened is this guy really didn't think his dad should be president. And he said, I'm going to leave this laptop with all this evidence over here. Hopefully it gets out of my dad.
He's a smart guy. He didn't want to go through standard procedures to get an auto loan. So we borrowed $40,000 from his dad to buy a Ford truck.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden... The Russians and the GOP campaign people said, let's take this $40,000, let's make it sound like $40 million, and say that instead of dad giving them the money, the Chinese gave it to them. And they see how mountains get made out of molehills.
Well,
it had nothing to do. He didn't even buy a Chinese truck. He bought an American truck.
Are there Chinese? You know, the weird thing is when I was in Chile.
They have trucks in China.
No, when I was in Chile, I saw a lot of Chinese cars. There's a lot of Chinese cars that don't make it into America. They have a whole car market. I had no clue about it until I got there. And yeah, there were times where I'd look at these cars in Chile and I'm thinking, this thing has got to be Chinese, you know?
Because instead of regular Arabic lettering and numbers, it had Chinese symbols on it. Right?
Oh no, it had a regular name. I forgot the name of the cars. But you know why we know so much about Hunter Biden and what he did?
He did nothing. That's the thing.
No, try and guess why we know what he did. Try and guess. The guy wrote a book and wrote about it. He's dumb. He wrote a book. You know why we know that he bought a gun when he was on drugs and he lied? Try and guess why we know.
Well, I would lie about a gun too if I was on drugs.
I would too, but would you write a book and write about...
The only two true things they got were snorting some coke and a faulty gun registration and purchase.
I think we're putting a lot on Hunter Biden.
Yeah,
the truth is, the Chinese weren't giving Hunter Biden money.
No, they weren't giving anybody money. They were taking money.
They weren't taking money. Biden was sending money. He was sending money to China, you know. He was just sending money to them, you know.
That's a rumor. That's the rumor the GOP started.
He was sending money to China. The Bidens haven't sent money
to all send money to China. It's called buying anything. You buy anything and it's sending money to China. It's all made there.
The truth is, I'm not really that afraid about China. I don't think the government is going after TikTok because of Chinese ownership.
I'm afraid of the food. I mean, you know, everybody thought that COVID came from China. And, you know, parts of it's true. What happened is some infected people left China. They went to Europe. The COVID here in America actually came from Italy. And that's how the infection spread here. But there were people that should have been quarantined in China that went visiting Europe, and then it got over here. It went all over the globe.
My brother did that. He visited Europe.
He visited Italy?
Did
he get sick?
he came back from Italy and he brought COVID to America. And I'm
Is he
like,
Chinese?
well, I wish he was, you know. He's kind of
Does he
Chinese.
speak Chinese?
No, my brother, no.
Does he like Chinese food?
Oh, yeah, my brother loves Thai food. Anything ethnic. He's down with anything ethnic.
He likes to be tied up?
I think he does, actually. You know, my brother is a CPA. CPAs are bored. They like to be tied up. They're always into this kinky shit. But yeah, my brother came back from Europe. Actually, my brother was actually in Europe for spring break.
So you just called your brother a CPA. Does he like that?
CPA.
Yeah, you don't want to say the whole A. I mean, A is people say A when they mean asshole. So
No.
he's a CP asshole.
My brother's a CPA. He's certified.
He's certified. Okay.
Certified CPA.
So he's crazy. He's a CP,
No, he's not great. Well, yeah,
but he's family.
he has family. He's my brother.
Okay.
I only got
You
one.
forgive him
family.
all those. He's got all these things wrong with him, and you're forgiving.
My brother is very
good.
privileged. He's taking his family over to Europe for spring break. I mean, he's privileged, you know. And you know who he doesn't invite to Europe?
Who?
They don't invite me to Europe.
Maybe because he would prefer another CPA.
Maybe.
So you got to be more hard nosed with him.
I've only been to Europe with my brother once.
Next time you see him, give him a big wedgie.
Oh yeah, my brother lives in
That would,
Folsom.
he would think, boy, that brother of mine's really turning into a CPA, man. He gave me a wedgie.
He is a CPA. Damn it! Why you gotta make fun of the CPAs?
Well, you brought it up.
Did you do your taxes, or did you finish your taxes?
Yeah, I had my taxes done for me.
Yeah, because you know you got all that money from CNN this year. You got fired and stuff.
Well, yeah, there's severance packages and anything that wasn't nailed down in the office. We put in
Yeah.
boxes. I learned a lot from Trump that you can take these things and then claim they were yours, just declare it that it was yours.
That is true. That is true. Like we got a couple of Trump trials coming up soon in a couple of weeks.
He's got almost a trial a day if you look at each individual charge.
You know why? You know the thing I don't understand about Trump is his house, Mar-a-Lago, because in Spanish, Mar-a-Lago means ocean or lake, and I'm thinking
He doesn't know the difference between the Atlantic being an ocean or a lake. It's actually, we mentioned earlier Pangea, and this ties in perfectly with that. The Atlantic was initially a river when you started to get this thing called sea spreading.
Mhm.
So for a long time, there was just a river flowing between the continents, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually, people were saying, we always been able to cross the other side of a river.
Mhm.
I don't see nothing on that other side.
Yeah.
And this is the people both in South America and in Africa. There were people that were indigenous to both areas. Now they can't even see one another, and they know that they're all family.
Yeah. I had family who sailed with Columbus. My ancestors come from Genoa. And are you getting a call?
I thought I turned that off.
What's your theme song? What's that theme? What song is that?
That was just
Is that like White Snake or something?
something like that.
Is White Snake your theme song?
I have a variable phone thing there. It just happened to be on that.
Are you one of those people that has different theme songs for different people?
I have different theme songs for each hour and day of the week. So the next hour there'll be a different theme. If somebody's really trying to call me, it's got a reggae theme. I love reggae music. Do you like reggae music?
Reggae's pretty cool. Did you see the Bob Marley?
I imagine you probably would. I would think reggae would be your favorite music because of pot.
Yeah. Did you see the Bob Marley movie?
He died from pot.
He died
He
at.
smoked so much of it that it melted his brain, basically.
He died of cancer.
Yes, he got cancer because he smoked.
I thought he had cancer of the toe or something.
No, he had brain cancer.
Yeah, brain
cancer. If you drink, say, too much ocean water, you'll eventually get cancer of something. Anything that you do in excess will cause cancer. And pot is good for cancer patients for like pain. But, that's smoking a little bit of it. He would smoke like 180 pounds a day or something ridiculous.
Yeah, they smoke a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't
like
a second of the day he probably didn't have pot when he's either smoking it or eating it. Or looking at probably got to the point where just looking at a picture of it would make him high.
Yeah, it's a problem, but somebody taught me that how the Jamaicans, they grind their weed. They have a special way where they take a bunch of weed and they grind it with their hands. It's very specific and stuff. But the Bob Marley movie was confusing because, it needs subtitles. I don't know what the hell these people were saying. I thought they were speaking English in Jamaica, but
I love reggae. I've had reggae music since they had 8-track tapes. In fact, I still have an 8-track tape player in my car just to play some of that old reggae.
Which car? The Trans Am?
No. One of the other cars. It's also a Ford truck like Hunter's.
You got to bring your Trans Am.
I don't have a Trans Am. My friend does.
Oh yeah, that's right. What kind of cars do you got? You got a
basically things that a reporter would need, like vans and trucks.
Oh yeah, that is crazy. You couldn't find. What happened to your toilet anyway? Somebody used your toilet on the plane and you didn't want to use it again?
I didn't hear about that. I wasn't told of anything. I was kept in the dark about that.
That is true, You gotta watch out these days.
It's almost like somebody made it up just to have something funny to talk about.
Who would make that up? Who would make that up? Actually, I do want to talk about my newest project. I'm starting a comedian slap league. Are you down with watching comedians slap the shit out of each other?
I remember there was a Monty Python episode where a guy was slapping a fellow python with a fish, and I thought that was hilarious. Now, if you use a fish, but a different type of fish each time, so it's not like, I've seen this before. It's like, okay, he's using a halibut. You can't keep slapping people with a halibut. Eventually, they're going to get tired of the halibut. You got to throw a salmon,
or a
small tuna,
it smells bad.
A herring. Herring would be hilarious because they're really tiny. If you hit someone with a herring and it knocks them over, that would be hilarious. It'd be unexpected.
I thought you weren't into fish. Aren't you into guys? Or I thought you weren't into fish.
No. Fish is good for you.
Fish is good for you. Yeah, I don't like seafood. Somebody ordered some calamari at Cal's one day, and it smelled really bad. Like some fish had died and stuff.
Well, calamari is basically a dead squid.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If you go to Japan, you can get umaki. You can actually get fresh fish. And it's not cooked or anything. So and the only one you want to avoid is the puffer fish because it's got a poison in it.
Oh yeah, you need somebody.
And you got to have someone there with the antidote. So if you're about to die, you're going into anaphylactic shock. You have to ask somebody. I don't know if anyone has ever survived eating it.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, what does it even taste like?
People eat that stuff.
I don't think anyone has survived eating one.
People eat that stuff all the time.
I don't know. Raw fish. I mean, raw
They just
milk.
gotta know how to
raw.
cook it.
I mean,
so.
there's a reason why we have cooks.
Yeah.
That's because food is supposed to be cooked.
I was in Oakland and
I mean, what if you have someone who doesn't cook? What's that occupation? They're not a cook. Are they?
they're called a housewife.
If something is uncooked,
You eat it raw.
I mean,
Either
the
raw.
title of that person, you can't call them a cook, but someone who's preparing raw food. I don't think there's been a name coined for that
I
occupation
think it's
yet.
called raw. Isn't it raw?
I don't know. We have to do some research. If we could coin the name right now, right here and now. This could be an historic event. Think of a name for a person that doesn't cook food but gives you the food.
I was in Oakland and
A waiter.
somebody was advertising Maine lobsters in Oakland, and I'm like, this is Oakland. Why not Oakland lobsters? Why Maine lobsters?
I mean, you don't want the secondary or the third lobster. You want the main one, the first, the big cheese.
It turns out there's no lobsters in Oakland. There's no lobsters in the West Coast, I don't think.
Yes, there was a DJ named the Lobster, and I'm sure
That is true. That is true. There was a improv crew named something Lobster, wasn't it? The Lobsters or the
I'm sure there's fish markets in Oakland that have fresh lobster. I mean, they get lobster right off the coast here.
Well, they had no.
If you go to the bay,
no. That's what I'm trying to say.
If you went underneath those
That's
big ships and the places where they where they want to build a ballpark but they can't.
Oh yeah.
Don't, I'm sure there's lobsters there.
What do you think about the A's fans who stayed in the parking lot instead of going to the game on opening day to
They're
protest?
trying to get the A's to move to Vegas, and they're destroying the Tropicana. They're leveling the Tropicana to build the ballpark.
The
there.
Tropicana is hella ugly.
I guess it's a done deal that the A's are going to be there.
The Tropicana is hella ugly. I'm down.
Well, most of the hotels that are ugly have been obliterated.
I got booted out of the Tropicana. I got booted one time. Out of the Tropicana.
Were you taking too much lobster off their
Nah,
buffet?
this is a crazy story. So
Well, tell it.
they had some kind of mafia show at the Tropicana where they had people dressed up like mobsters and they would recreate the mobster experience.
Like Bugsy Siegel.
Yeah, that kind of show.
The mob basically built Vegas.
So I told one of the actors, I'm like, hey, you got any? As a joke, I told him, hey, you got any cocaine? And this fool told security on me.
Well, you see,
I got booted.
Back in the days when the mob was building Vegas, they didn't really like the drug trade. In fact, the old dons looked down on it. It was a thing that that's why they didn't like South America. They actually maybe what we need to fight drugs is to empower these mafioso types. So all the old dons are dead. So it was their sons that started, the movie Scarface.
Yeah.
That kind of made it.
Well,
it was okay then you could be in familia and participating in the narcotics trade because they didn't like the competition between the Asian mobs and the South American and the Central American mobs. The mafioso wanted it they didn't want any part of it.
Well, that's why the English went into China in the first place. They were trying to get their hands on the drugs,
Well, yeah, the English had those little snuff boxes.
Yeah, they wanted the opium. They were trying to get opium out of China. That's why they went into China in the first place.
I think they probably thought it would cut down on the perpetual incest amongst the royalty or something. If they were like out of it, they would stop procreating.
It didn't work. It didn't work. Yeah, so I got thrown. I didn't say it to Tropicana, but I got booted out of there.
I had Tropicana orange juice once.
I got thrown out of the Coliseum for smoking weed. So I got
the Roman Coliseum.
No, at the Oakland Coliseum, right? So I gotta tell these two motherfuckers, the security people at the Oakland Coliseum and at the Tropicana, You can go fuck yourselves.
You didn't have a medical card? You know, you could have if you have that medical card, you can legally smoke that anywhere.
No, you can't legally smoke that anywhere. What do you
If you have a medical card,
No,
then
no.
the doctor prescribed it
No.
once an hour. You know, it's supposed to like generate an appetite and different things. If you have a medicinal reason, I mean, you can't tell someone that's got a heart condition, you can't take your nitroglycerin pill, you know. So if you need to smoke pot to alleviate a medical condition, you should be able to smoke it right there, blow smoke right into the security guy's face.
You should be, but they're not like that.
What are they like?
They kicked me out.
It doesn't sound very nice.
I didn't go back for like 4 years to the Coliseum. I was like, fuck the A's.
It sounds like a lot of people haven't gone back there.
It's
I mean,
true.
on opening day, I saw the ticket prices. It cost more to park than it did to get your the tickets were like $5. Your parking is like $80.
You could get like 2 for 1 tickets. That's how bad it was.
You 2 for $5, and then your parking. I think it's not the $80 was not for the whole car. $80 plus $5 per occupant.
Well,
so if you had 4 people, that's $100 to park.
You could get fired for being an A's fan in the Bay Area. People look down at you. If you're an A's fan, they think that you're like a loser. You must be homeless. If you're an A's fan, people think this guy doesn't own any property. He's an A's fan. He's like a loser. That's what happened to the A's. Like,
well, they used to be one of the greatest baseball franchises.
Yeah,
back in the '70s, they had Reggie Jackson and Rollie Fingers.
They Vita Blue,
tennis, Vita Blue.
They won 3. Yeah, they won 3 World Series in a row. In the '80s, they won a couple World Series.
Well, in the '80s, they had Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco, and
Dave Stewart.
Yeah.
They had Parker.
And Vita Blue was still there too. He was a giant by then.
He was a giant. Vita Blue was on drugs. But yeah, the A's used to be a bigger franchise than the Giants. The A's were the winners. The Giants were like the losers and stuff. And then it just turned around. Now people look down at you for being an A's fan.
Well, I think
being a Raiders
I think it all boiled down to ownership, who owned the team. No, these
Somebody's calling you again?
It's probably the same thing. They do this. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Who keeps calling you?
And I hit them off their back.
So you gonna get solar in your house or what? Yeah.
In Vegas, solar's a good idea there because there's a lot of sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Expensive. The thing about solar is right now interest rates are up, so it's expensive to get solar. So if you're a young person, it makes sense because you're going to live there a long time and it'll pay for itself. If you're older, maybe not so good. But one thing that I found about solar is all these companies trying to sell it, and I get them on my phone all the time. They're all roofing companies.
Yeah.
And the law states or somehow or other, I don't know if it's a law. They're probably lying to you, but they won't put solar panels on a roof if it's older than 15 years.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if that was some politicians doing or just a company industry policy that because they're all roofing companies for one thing. Figure that out. Solar panels are going to be put on roofs.
Yeah.
So who is the most likely person to put solar panels up? Let's see, the gardener. Not, how about companies that put roofs on houses? So there's kind of a conflict of interest going here. Do they care about you saving money on your utility bill? No, they want to put shingles on your roof and they want to fix leaks and holes, and we have to rip all this roof off your place. And then once they do that, they find problems in your rafters, and you've got rodents and dead bodies and whatever else. And so, they get all these peripheral little industries going, connected about under the auspice of solar panels. Before it is, they're telling you need a swimming pool now because with solar you can afford to run your heater for your pool. So now they're remodeling your whole house. And then they're getting your neighbors involved. We've got a 2-for-1 deal. And then all of a sudden all your neighbors are having solar, and then all your neighbors are buying Teslas, and then all your Teslas are catching fire, and your neighborhood's burning down, and they come back in and they build it again. See how the farce of it? They want to constantly be rebuilding everything.
But you said they won't put solar on the roof or the house.
If it's older than 15 years, but so they want to get rid of older housing.
The housing or the roof, because your roof could be less than 15 years old. Your house could be older than 15.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The last time you had a roof put on the house is that starts the clock. Your house could be 100 years old, but if your roof has been rebuilt within 5 years, then they say you have a 5-year-old roof. You don't measure the age of the roof by the house. You measure the age of when and what was redone. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of roofers, all they do is, some of them probably go up there with a spray and they paint what looks like a new roof. I mean, the real crooked ones.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing news exposés about it. I mean, did I tell you I was in the news business?
Yeah.
We studied this where people were getting fake roofs.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't real shingles. They were just people were going up there and stapling. They took copy machines. They made copies of shingles. They'd staple these. And from the ground, it's like, look, Marge, doesn't our roof look fantastic? And the first wind comes along and it blows. You'd wonder your shingles are going like this. They're blowing up. And it's like, a smart guy would have stapled this paper shingle all around, but they don't because they want to save money on staples. Staples are expensive. They come from China.
Staples are expensive, yeah.
And it costs money to ship staples from China.
Yeah.
So you see how this scandal is going on, this fake roofing scandal. Mm-hmm. And I bet if they're faking the shingles, those solar panels are probably fake too.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Fake roofs, fake titties, fake everything, fake ass.
Exactly.
I think Americans are just in love with fake stuff. We're not happy with what we got,
Well, we're being accused of issuing fake news.
Yeah.
I just gave you a real news lowdown on something that is not talked about enough. People don't want truth. That's why
they don't want truth.
They don't want to know how bad things are,
or
how good things are. They just want to hear. People expect the news to be bad. It's just, there's always at the end of the news they want people to leave by feeling good, so they save the one feel good story for the end of the news. It's
That's
like
true.
This puppy was rescued from this big deluge of water in LA. The rivers are overflowing and this puppy falls in. And hundreds of people jump in to save the puppy. They don't talk about the hundreds of people drowning. No. They talk about the one hero who saves the puppy. That's the good thing of the news. Now, it's not that the news is fake. It's just that they haven't told you the whole story.
Yeah. I thought the LA River was empty.
No. There's more water in LA right now than they actually. LA should be. They're trying to think of a way of pumping water back up into the Colorado River. They have so much of it.
I saw a documentary on Mulholland. I guess he was Irish.
There's a street named after him.
Yeah, I guess he was Irish. He convinced.
I think it's Scotch. He was an engineer. The English.
Oh yeah, he was Scotch. Yeah.
The Scots were warriors, poets, and engineers. Like Scotty from Star Trek was Scott. See, he wasn't a king, He wasn't a poet, but he was an engineer.
I think they bought water from somewhere in the Central Valley, and
They are water thieves.
they're water thieves. Yeah.
I mean, there's things. Probably the name comes from the wine industry. You know, when you check to see if wine is in a barrel, you have a thing called the wine thief.
Yeah.
Well, the wine is a Northern California thing. So in Southern California, they don't care about wine.
No.
They care about water. So they know that we have wine thieves here. They have water thieves there.
Yeah. I went to a winery in Chile, and they have a devil wine, and the reason they started a rumor that the devil lived in this winery years ago.
Well, you have to have grapes to have wine.
No,
Do grapes actually grow there?
Well, yeah, grapes grow all over the world.
I mean, it's a very skinny country. I mean, what kind of grapes would grow there?
So they started a rumor that the devil was inside this winery to convince people so they wouldn't steal the wine. People fell for it. They thought the devil lived here.
Well, if you do that, the number one customer for wine in the world is churches. So churches are not going to buy that wine. So that's probably why no one's ever heard of a Chilean wine before.
What are you talking about? Chilean wines are famous all over the world.
As for devil worshippers,
Do you drink?
You just admitted it.
Do you drink wine or
not the devil's wine?
You see? The hell you know about
all right, for clarification, William Mulholland, that was born September 11th, that date, 1855, was an Irish-American self-taught civil engineer who was responsible for building the infrastructure to provide water supply that allowed Los Angeles to grow into the largest city in California as head of a predecessor to the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Mulholland designed and supervised the building of the Los Angeles Aqueduct, which is 233 miles long, system to move water from the Owens Valley to the San Fernando Valley.
And the ranchers there took great pleasure in dynamiting it for several years. In fact, that's how the Salton Sea came into being, when they dynamited one of the aqueducts, and the water from the Colorado River flowed unchecked for like 3.5 years, and it filled up the basin and became Salton Sea. And then real estate developers caught on to that and said, you know, this is like the California Riviera. They started selling beachfront property.
No,
they didn't realize that there also was a tributary from Mexico that flowed water in, and it brought salt water and stuff in there. And there was like, this whole basin was like a salt basin. Salt and inland salt. It was an inland sea. So the water had so much salt in it. I don't know if you've ever been there, but you can actually float without trying to float.
Not
you
really.
can't sink in it. It's
so
salty.
dense, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
It's like the Dead Sea, or it's like the Salt Lake City in Utah.
Well, that's why they say that Jesus walked on water, because the Dead Sea. My brother and his family have been in Israel, and they're like, yeah, you can literally like float on the Dead Sea. You can float in that area. So Jesus wasn't really walking on water.
Well, I think they just used. I think Jesus back at that time was a hologram, so he had no mass. He could walk wherever he wanted. Holograms are basically an image. So think about that. No one's ever thought of Christ being like an alien. And it's very likely a lot of that stuff was holograms. I mean, we just had Easter over the weekend, and the thing that got me was I really have a problem every time we celebrate Good Friday. Think about Good Friday. What is good about being nailed to a tree with nails going through your hands and feet? I mean, Jesus is probably saying, there is nothing good going on here. Why are they naming this Good Friday? I mean, if anything, that's a pretty shitty Friday, don't you think?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, no, but he got...
Did you celebrate Pretty Shitty Friday?
No, but the thing about it is Jesus didn't stay stuck to the nail. He just
he not only did he get nailed to a tree, he
yeah,
had a Roman guy sitting there with a spear stabbing at him to see if he was dead yet. Are you dead yet?
Don't blame the Romans on
He
killing
probably was
Jesus.
speechless at that point in shock.
It wasn't the Romans that killed Jesus.
Yes, it was. It was Pontius Pilate that condemned him to death.
It was the
That's why
Democrat.
the Romans have
Democrat.
carried this guilt throughout the entire reign of Christianity.
I don't know any Romans that feel guilty about.
Well, they
killing
should.
Do you think Jesus had a foot fetish because he keeps
Well,
washing?
washing feet because he was a humble foot washer.
He used to wash feet because he had a foot fetish.
People were hungry, and he pulled loaves and fish out of thin air, and he made this water into wine.
But if
and
you
not
got-
Chilean wine, drinkable wine.
But you got a foot
And where did that
fetish.
wine come from? It came from alien motherships beaming it down there, I tell you.
I mean, if you got a foot fetish, what better way to make sure you get to see these women's feet before you ask them?
He
out?
washed everyone's feet, not just women. He washed beggars' feet.
That's what
He
they
was
tell
very
you.
big about washing beggars' feet.
That's what they tell you. But
Are you saying that he has a beggar's fetish?
I know that's what they tell you. But I think Jesus was just washing women's feet. You know. I don't think he was washing everybody's feet. You know.
Well, it was witnessed by people, and there's one thing about the Bible. There's a lot of historic fact in there, but there's a lot of things that are unexplained until you get into the ancient studies of spaceships and aliens.
But
And then
that-
you finally can put the two together.
Yeah.
This resolves the conundrum between religion and science. Is once you believe that Christ himself was an alien, the whole thing, everything should be united at that point. There
He
won't
was
be
an
any
illegal
conflict
alien.
in the world if people believe that.
Jesus was an illegal alien.
No, he was a very legal alien.
He was illegal.
He had the documentation for it.
Did they have passports back then? Or how did they know?
Well, I'm sure you had to have papers from what area you were traveling from. I mean, imagine the Magi. They had to travel all the way there with basically they were trafficking drugs. Incense and myrrh were like drugs, illegal substances.
Well, that's how you hide weed is with the incense. Why?
Well,
why do you think it's-
what is myrrh anyway? But
I don't know.
Another type of snuff.
Let's
It's
ask the expert. Let's ask the expert.
Yeah,
What myrrh is?
Myrrh. I know there's a bird called a myrrh.
I live in a street called Ptarmigan. Somebody told me Ptarmigan is like a French bird.
Ptarmigan.
Ptarmigan.
There's a bird called the willow ptarmigan.
Yeah.
I believe it's the state bird of Alaska.
Okay, so for one, myrrh is spelled Myrrh.
Yes.
Just so you all know.
No.
Myrrh is a fragrant gum resin obtained from certain trees and used especially near the east in perfuming medicines and incense.
And it probably has some hypnotic quality to it. Now, the willow ptarmigan, we don't want to have upset birders on your show. So is that or is that not the state bird of Alaska? A lot of people think
what is the state bird of Alaska?
a lot of people think the state bird of Alaska is a penguin, but those are only indigenous to Antarctica, not the Arctic. But I think it's the willow ptarmigan.
I don't think there's any penguins in Alaska, is there?
And what did you say it was?
I don't know.
No.
He brought up the name ptarmigan, and
Oh, because I live on Ptarmigan. Somebody told
Yeah,
me.
that is. It's the willow ptarmigan.
The
Spelled with a P instead of a T. It's the P is the PT is the P is
P
silent.
is silent.
Yeah,
It's one
P
of
is
those
silent,
weird
yeah.
words. It's PTRAR. It's one of those things.
MIPAN, yeah.
If you're on Jeopardy,
Yeah.
it would probably the final answer on Jeopardy would be the state bird of Alaska, and that would stump everyone because half the people would would put penguin or bald eagle.
What's the state bird of California?
Don't you know?
Well, ours is the eagle.
Is it the eagle? I thought it was the bear.
No, ours is actually the
The state bird
quail.
isn't the bear?
The quail is
I
our
thought
state.
Yes, the California quail.
Yeah.
I thought the bear was like the state
Quails
bird.
are unusual. They are one of the few species that hold reverence. If one of them gets run over by a car, the other ones will gather around him, and it's kind of like, Dave's not moving. What do you think's wrong with Dave?
Dave's not moving.
And they kind of Dave hasn't moved in about an hour, and they'll all kind of mourn and celebrate Dave's life. They have like a funeral service for the deceased quail.
Oh, yeah. Dave's
I've
not
seen
moving.
it quite frequently.
I didn't know this. The California state flower. I always thought that was the poppy. No, that's what I thought too.
Used to be. Too many people were picking them.
And so I guess it's Chem Dog is the state flower.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense.
I think the problem was
They say flowers for weed.
the poppy you could actually
Purple diesel.
you could actually extract opium out of our state flower, which was the California poppy. And it was illegal if you had, like, in fact, my neighbor who was Chinese, they had poppies growing out of their lawn, and they kept mowing around it. They kept letting these things grow. And I finally asked him, I go, why, you've got grass here at 6 feet tall, and the rest of your grass is like a putting green. And they kept this poppy plant in there, and they said, well, we heard it's illegal to pick the poppies.
Yeah.
It is.
You see orange poppies all over the place.
And that would be illegal to pick.
They pick it where I live.
But that was because it was a state flower, and you're saying it's...
I was kidding. I was making a joke.
Okay.
No, I think it's because
I was getting ready
the
to...
poppies are drug, isn't it?
well, that's what you make opium and heroin derived from opium.
They told people they're going to fine them $500 if they're picking the poppies where I live. People pick the poppies and some other plant. They're like...
Poppy seeds. I mean, or poppy seeds, do they have some kind of...
they used to say that poppy seeds would make you test dirty for cannabis because it's in the same family as a hemp seed.
Yeah.
Well, these are all kind of herbs.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I hate them because they get stuck in your teeth, and you have to get like toothpicks, and then you get splinters and all kind of nasty stuff.
Do you think any of the states, do you think all the states have a state bird?
Not really, no.
Incorrect.
But they all have poppy seeds, though.
Does every state have a state bird?
Yep. And 2 of them have a chicken as their bird.
Oh, really?
One's probably a cock and the other's a hen.
It's got to be South
One is a
Carolina.
hen,
Is it China?
and the other one is the only other kind of...
Tell me the gamecock is a state bird.
No. It's the blue hen chicken
Okay.
in Delaware.
Now you wonder if there's
What
a bird.
do you think is the chicken that they have representing their state in Rhode Island?
The Rhode Island hen.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Rhode Island
That's like
red.
who's buried in Grants too.
Right, exactly.
Actually, the University of Delaware nickname are the Blue Hens. So that
There
makes,
you go.
Do you
That
know
makes
the name
sense.
of the person buried in the tomb of the unknown soldier?
No one does. Well, apparently nobody does.
They can find out now. I don't know why they don't do it.
How?
Well, with
DNA.
DNA.
Well, you would have to have a relative of that person, and that
I'm pretty
relative,
sure.
that relative would also be unknown.
No, they got a list of all the people who
There's
have...
a lot of people that are unknown, so that's a lot of DNA you're testing.
No, they can easily find out if they wanted to. They've been tracing DNA on stuff for years these days. A lot of people are getting put out of jail because they figure out that whoever they killed, they find blood or they find semen and they test
Well, you
it
can
out.
falsify DNA.
25 years later.
You can
Even
go-
longer than that. So the way I found my bio dad after 54 years was because I was talking to somebody that used to run a group on Facebook for Ancestry.com.
Ancestry?
Yeah, Ancestry.
Oh, God.
That's in the middle. It's in the Midwest. Ancestry.
I can see that would be a great thing in Britain.
Right. So I was talking to somebody that ran a fairly large Facebook group for Ancestry.com, and I was explaining how my theory was I went through my entire story on how I never knew my birth father, and that I only knew certain things about him, and the things that I knew were so broad stroke that you wouldn't be able to find him. And so It was after the daughter of the Golden State rapist turned in his DNA or whatever, or they found out that this person's DNA was linked to his daughter. Then they found him, and they found him after 40 years. And so I was like, hey, I wonder if I could do that. Just,
Oh, I thought you were saying he was related.
Yeah, no. I could go to Ancestry.com.
My dad's like Golden Rat.
Take their test, and I would find out if anybody was in their database. And apparently their database, even though they're not the only Ancestry type company that does that, there's 23andMe, there's other ones. A lot of them share info.
Yeah.
And so it took me 54 years, could never get a real good lead on my father, found him within 8 weeks.
Did you meet him or?
No, first picture I got of him was of his gravestone.
Oh.
He had died like 3 years prior to me finding him.
Damn.
And so, pretty interesting stuff, though. Could they do that with the unknown soldier? Absolutely, because I think there's a big enough database of DNA that they would be able to get at least a second or third cousin down the line from that, because I hear that almost.
If they get a good DNA sample, I guess if you had bone marrow.
Yeah, I don't know how the degradation, plus I don't know how that kind of DNA works versus.
I thought they had to have like a hair follicle or something.
Well, with like the test I took, you keep spitting into a little tube, a test tube, and you send in the test tube. And so I don't know how other forms of DNA degrade or how long they can stay around, but my understanding is they can stay around decades and decades and decades.
I send my hair to this company. They're gonna let me know what I'm allergic to, and they're like, please don't send any pubic hair.
They're gonna send a report back and say you're allergic to hair.
Right.
Turns out I'm allergic to anything healthy. I'm lactose intolerant. I'm alcohol intolerant.
I'm intolerant to your lactose, so that makes sense.
I'm job intolerant.
You're job intolerant.
I'm job intolerant. It's crazy out here, It's like I had no idea, but no, they got a couple unknown soldiers. They got a Vietnam War one. They got one from World War II.
They don't have more than one unknown soldier, do they?
I think they do.
I don't know.
I think they got more.
They
than
only
one.
have the one tomb of the unknown soldier, and I think
That's in Arlington. And
right.
No, they got a couple of them. I think they got one from Vietnam, one from World War II, one from the Gulf War, one when they invaded Grenada.
I don't think so.
They invaded Grenada.
Well, there was one of these tombs where they had like an eternal flame. I don't know if it was John Kennedy's grave or something, but they had like a ceremony.
Oh yeah,
and somebody extinguished the flame.
Oh no, that's the tomb of the unknown soldier. That is at Arlington, and that's the flame that supposedly never goes out or whatever.
Yeah.
Accidentally got put out.
Somebody
Rumor.
Somebody
Fort
called.
Myer, Virginia, by the way.
Yeah.
I still have to take exception to Mulholland being Irish. I would say Mulholland is a Scottish name, but the thing is, there's a lot of Scottish people in Ireland.
I told you
So
he was
attributing
Irish.
him as an Irishman, because if you call a Scot an Irishman, they usually take offense to that.
He's Irish. He came from Ireland. Dude.
Mulholland is a Scottish name, though.
I don't care what it is.
Well, the Scots definitely do. You don't want to get on the bad side of a Scot.
I do.
No. Well, the Scot will. You've never seen Braveheart, obviously, have you?
I've seen Roddy Piper up close. So.
Scots are a hardy bunch. They invented golf,
That is true. They invented
Most
soccer.
frustrating activity ever invented by man. The reason they invented golf, because the consumption of scotch was going down.
Oh, really?
So they decided we better create an activity so
they could
hideous, so frustrating, so terrible that people will drink to death. And so the shepherds were taking their sticks and hitting these turds that their livestock were putting down there. That was the original game of golf.
Okay, to answer your question, the tomb of the unknown soldier is in Arlington National Cemetery's most iconic memorial. The neoclassical white marble sarcophagus stands atop of a hill overlooking Washington, D.C. Since 1921, it has provided a final resting place for one of America's unidentified World War I service members, and unknowns from later wars were added in 58 and 84. The tomb was also served as a place of mourning and a site for reflection on military service.
You think I told you there's more.
So there's at least 2 other times where they put unknowns in there.
So it's like a columbarium where they're putting cremated remains of these other unknowns.
I guess.
Yeah.
I wonder if you cremate someone, can you still do DNA?
I doubt it.
I don't think you can.
I'm just wondering how deep. I mean, it's hard to destroy something molecular like that. I imagine it would be altered, though.
No, I'm going to say no, you cannot get DNA from a burnt, if it's actually ash. I mean, if there's actual other remains, like skeletal remains, like they stop it before it fully cremates. Yeah, but no.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if there's DNA in bone, but I mean, bone marrow would probably have.
Yeah, it does, I think.
Yeah, so I knew there was more than one there. I mean, you know what? There's no unknown women soldiers, because everybody kept track of the women during the war.
Well, in wartime, they wanted to be a woman no matter what.
Yeah, they kept track of the women, so, they all knew who the women were.
Can you get DNA from cremated remains? The answer is yes.
Yes.
DNA testing is often done on the bodies of the dead, even after they've been cremated.
Yeah, they've done testing on bodies that are...
The actual ashes are thus useless as they will not contain DNA. So I have conflicting reports from Google.
Imagine that.
Well, I've just seen so many damn TV shows where they end up burning the body and they're like, well, I guess we're screwed here. I can't get the stuff we need.
I could never stand that show Quincy, because that was all about that. It was like every time I tried to get into Quincy, I kept thinking of The Odd Couple, and I just couldn't think of Oscar taking him seriously as a forensic scientist.
I liked Quincy, but you're right. It was really hard to get away from Clinton and not be an Oscar.
I could see the other guy, Felix, as a forensic scientist because he was very meticulous.
What is that? Tony, what's his name?
Tony Randall.
There you go.
He would have been a perfect forensic scientist. That show would have been... It would probably still be going.
It would make sense.
It would be in its 40th year, like all the Law and Order series. That are,
They made a bunch of odd couples, and they do like 3 or 4 of them.
what's the longest running show? Is it like General Hospital or something?
Well, I would have said MASH.
Or 60 Minutes?
Yeah, those
MASH,
soap opera.
Seinfeld.
I think
soap
60
opera.
Minutes, I think, is
Yeah, I would
right
agree
now
with that.
as being the
No,
longest.
I
Or even
think
Meet the Press.
I
It's
think
been
the
around
soap
since the
opera.
60s.
I think the soap operas have been around longer.
So it really depends on, there's a few soap operas that are
Well,
that
you
way
can
too.
count Tonight Show, even though they've had different hosts, it's still going on. I mean, a lot of people think the Tonight Show started with Johnny Carson. There was a guy named Jack Parr before Carson. I think Parr is actually the one who...
There was another guy.
For all you guys listening on all these different social medias, thank you very much for listening in. We would love to know what you think is the longest running TV show, longest running TV shows, and I want you to go down into the comments right now.
The Simpsons.
Right now, go into the comments section and put your vote before I start talking.
The Simpsons.
And we'll see if you're right. So if you're listening and you're watching live, please tell us what the longest running TV shows are. I'll see if anybody pops up and see if you're right before I can say them.
One of my most embarrassing moments happened to me in junior high. I was sick, and I was trying to show off the next day to some
And they
girl.
took your DNA?
No, I was sick, and I was trying to show off to some girl the next day. And I was like,
Took
yeah.
her DNA.
No, I was like, yeah, I was watching soap operas. And she's like, which one? And I couldn't name one. So that's my embarrassing moment. She accused me, which one were you watching? I'm like, I don't know, Sam.
My favorite TV show was always The News.
Oh, yeah?
We have 7 minutes left, and
7 minutes.
and just to let you know, so you were on the right train of thought, Junkyard. With a lot of them are soaps,
Yeah,
and so like with 57 seasons, we have Guiding Light.
I didn't like.
57 seasons, Days of Our Lives.
Yeah.
54 seasons, As the World Turns.
Do they do reruns in soap operas, or they?
Here's the first one out of the soap operas with 53 seasons. What do you think the longest one is?
I was thinking General Hospital.
General.
No, it's not. It's not a soap. It's another show. And if I tell you what genre it's in, you'll get it immediately. Okay, it's children's programming.
Oh, it's
Captain Kangaroo.
Sesame Street. It's
Sesame Street
I
with
never watched
53
that.
seasons.
Sesame.
I've heard of
yeah.
it.
The Young and the Restless with 50 seasons.
Yeah.
What's the
Saturday Night Live with 48.
What was
Yeah.
the one soap opera that the woman has been like nominated a zillion times?
Oh, you're talking about All My Children.
Yeah.
What's her face?
Susan Lucci. Yeah.
Yeah.
One Life to Live with 45 seasons. Romper Room
Romper Room.
with 41 seasons. I didn't realize they were still doing Romper
I
Rooms.
didn't know they were still on the air.
All My Children with 41 seasons. There's your
How about Simpsons? Do they count that?
The Bugs Bunny Show with 40 seasons.
Yeah.
I thought it had to be original programming. The Bold and the Beautiful, 36. Here's The Simpsons with 34 seasons. Mr. Rogers with 31 seasons. Was there really 30? I guess there was.
Yeah.
Captain Kangaroo with 29. Love of Life. Never even heard of it. 29 seasons. The Edge of Night, 28 seasons. South Park, 26 seasons.
Well, you're into your season 3. You got a way to go.
Arthur, 25.
25.
I'm seeing if anybody else has popped up to set anything.
Arthur, you mean like the movie Arthur?
No, it's a cartoon.
Arthur, the cartoon about the whatever he
The
is.
drunken
It's a cart-
rich guy?
No.
It's a cartoon.
It's like he's an aardvark or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Law and Order Special Victims Unit, 24 seasons.
I know Arthur was a funny movie with Dudley Moore.
That's funny because we didn't even get to. I thought MASH would have been in there, but MASH was only like 18 seasons or something, maybe 20. So
No, I think Mass was like.
I remember
11.
our Fortran programmer let us out of class early to go see the final MASH
yeah.
episode.
I started watching MASH like a couple of years ago, but I think I made it to season 3. Then I thought this thing is never.
I liked the original movie. It was like way back in 1970.
Yeah, the movie was
And
pretty
it
good.
was Donald Sutherland and who was
which movie? Oh man.
Oh man.
Oh,
yeah.
Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould was great.
Yeah.
And the only character that carried over from the movie was Radar. The same guy who played Radar was in the TV show.
Yeah.
That's right. I was thinking it was.
And Robert Duvall was Father Mulcahy, if I remember.
Was he Father Mulcahy? He was
Frank
Frank.
Burns.
He was Frank
Frank Burns,
Burns
that's right.
because he was. Yeah.
Oh, Mulcahy was Rene Auberjonois, I believe.
I that was an interesting movie. I just didn't think it was going to spark 20 seasons of a sitcom.
I remember the.
Actually, the premise,
Yeah.
the war was a very short war.
Right. It wasn't even a war. It was.
No. Well, none of them really were, except for the World War II. I mean, Korean War basically started the whole. We really haven't had a declared war until I think the second Iraq thing. I don't know. No, they didn't have a formal declaration in either of the Gulf Wars.
So they're all considered actions.
Korean War, yeah, the Vietnam War was never declared. That was a continuity of the French Indochina War.
Right.
And the Gulf of Tonkin was an incident created by our own CIA to get us further involved, because
Right.
they wanted to get us out. What got us in there was a number of the CIA happened to be Jesuits. And the Jesuits are more loyal to the Vatican first and America second. That's why there were You'd be surprised at how many CIA agents or Jesuits, how many senators, how many justices and court, judges. Let's see, Clinton. He was alumni of Georgetown,
Right.
Jesuit University.
Right.
I got an uncle who's Opus Dei. I got a couple of family members that are Opus Dei. In Chile, yeah.
Opus Dei is evil.
Well, they're evil people. I mean, they're related to me, so of course
That's
they're
the
evil.
dark side of your family. Every family has a dark side.
Yeah, my Chilean family is really Catholic. I mean, they all I got baptized, but in fact, I've been in the Vatican. Have you been in the Vatican?
No, I've never
You
been
never been to the
Europe.
Vatican? You never been to Europe?
I've seen pictures of it.
And you better hop on. You don't got a passport? You don't even got a passport, do you?
No.
Damn! You gotta go. What are you waiting for? Your parents never took you to Europe? Aren't your parents European, though? Wouldn't they have taken you? Don't you want to see where your parents' homeland
Yeah,
looks
my
like?
parents are Californian.
No, but don't you want to see where your family comes from in Europe? Or you never got interested? Like, I mean,
Did I give thanks? I was going to give thanks to my friend Enoch for letting me have his
yeah.
coat and the hat for the show. And he didn't know it, but I have his glasses.
Yeah, but it's the last.
So
I'll make sure to give Enoch a shout out there. Where can we find everything Enoch's doing?
I was saying,
Because you don't need to promote Don Lemon at all.
no, he's on Enoch T Great, that Instagram thingy. You put that @ symbol in front of it.
There you go. And then what does Enoch got have going in the next couple of
I
weeks?
haven't been to Kells in a few weeks, and it's going to rain again this week. I'm afraid of rain.
Where are you
Not
afraid
so
of?
much the raindrops, but the space in between the raindrops. I've got a fear of that.
Okay.
There really isn't a name for it.
You're just afraid of.
It's just that empty void in between raindrops freaks me out.
You're afraid.
I'd rather have a solid sheet of water hitting me than just little bits of it here and there.
You don't
It's
like when
freaky.
women get wet anyway, so. I mean, you don't like that, do you?
Oh, I like wet women.
Well, no, because you're Don Lemon, aren't you? You don't like wet women.
Oh, jeez. All right, so
April Fools. John Lemon.
I thought you were Don Lemon.
No. Enoch the Great. Enoch the Great. I'm running for president. Ho, ho, ho.
Why are you so?
Why do you think I have this outrageous French accent?
Yeah, look at. I got your hat. Enoch LeGrand for president. But the president.
We didn't have a comedy
What's that?
show last night because of Easter.
But it's Presidente, isn't it?
No.
It's Presidente.
No, it says president. It ends in T.
I thought that's an E at the isn't that like an E at the end of the T?
No, that's a cleverly selected font so that it catches your eye.
What-
And you're paying attention to it. It worked.
When are we gonna put you on stage? I still haven't seen you on stage.
Tell Vi to do that.
Oh yeah.
we're putting his logo up there.
Or you're the one who's on there as the surprise comedian. You could actually say, I have a surprise comedian.
Oh yeah.
Go rogue.
I'm on Kells this Friday. Every Friday you can catch me at Kells.
I won't be there because, like I told you, the rain. I know that void between those raindrops is going to freak me out.
Oh, are you afraid when women get wet though? I
No,
mean,
I told you I'm afraid of.
Is that the real reason?
The area of rain where there's not
Is that
rain.
the real reason you're
Is
afraid
that
of
rain, or
water?
what would you call that? It doesn't have a name.
It's water. Water.
It's anti-rain. It's
Why are you scared of
there's
rain?
Matter and antimatter. Rain is matter. Where there isn't rain has got to be anti-rain.
But were you always afraid of rain, or did
I'm afraid of anti-rain.
did that happen when you turned 60? You're like, I'm 60.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of the rain killing me
I
now.
haven't turned 60 yet.
I live in a senior community, and yeah, when it rains, it's like the. I think it's because they know the Bible and they understand what's going to happen. That there's going to be a hurricane. Why
Isn't it true though? When it starts raining, the whole ground isn't wet. You see where the raindrops are.
Yeah.
That's wet, and then it's not wet.
I heard it gets warmer when it rains.
That's if it's tropical rain.
One of my favorite times ever raining, I was in college at Fresno State, and must have been like 90 in the spring. Starts raining, and we're running around the rain, just having a good time. We're partying it up like I'm in some Austria. We got a minute left. Thank you
I
for
like
being
when
up.
it snows because you could go get snow. We did this at college, and we went out to the hills and came back with a bunch of snow and we hid out in the parking lot, and we were throwing snowballs at people because here in California you don't expect that.
You're an evil mother.
Getting the unexpected thing is really funny as hell.
You know what I used to throw? I used to throw grapes at people.
Grenades?
Grapes. I used to throw grapes
Sounded
at
like you
people.
said you threw grenades at people.
I
That
threw
was
grapes at
funny.
people. They didn't even realize what hit them. It was pretty funny.
I got hit by a grenade. I wouldn't be laughing.
Our time is up. God damn it! It's April 1st. Happy. I mean,
This is Don Lemon signing out.
I'm looking for people to join my comedy slap league. So if you're a comedian, if you like slapping people,
Fish optional.
I mean, come and get
I'll
at me.
slap you with a fish. I'll get me a tuna.
We'll
I'll
tell
get a
Joe.
tuna. I'll get an 8-foot long tuna and slap you with that bitch.
Well, you do that, son. That sounds kind of exciting, though. I like getting slapped around with tuna, though. That's kind of hot. I'm getting turned on.
Well, it's starting to sound fishy around here, guys, so I'm out. All right, for the Junkyard Rat, Don Lemon, a.k.a. Enoch, and myself, we're out. Happy April Fool's Day, folks. We'll see you
April Fool.
next week on The Rat Show.